What is going on, world? It is your boy, Joe Castro. We back with another one. It's Joe Castro, Philly Fresco, Philly, the podcast. We are back at it. It's Sunday Sports Talk. Today, we got my boy, Brandon, obviously, and we have a very special guest today. We got my man's Big Al from Edge of Philly Sports. How are you doing today, man?
Guys, it's football Sunday.
It's football Sunday.
All we can do to make this better is get an Eagles win. But other than that, I can't ask for much more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into this, man. Look, it's been a long season. It has been a long season, to say the least. I just had a Uber driver just basically cuss for about 20 minutes about the Eagles. So it is real. It is felt even out here in Florida. Everybody's hurting. But we've been talking about this, and we've even said yesterday, I feel like this is a game that we can win. We can put things together and possibly make a run after this. Everything is still in front of us. As sad as that might be, the NFC East is terrible. It is trash. So everything is still in front of us. We still have a shot at this. And I'm not one to call for tanking. So I definitely want to see us go out there and win. Shout out to everybody coming in the stream. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. Yeah, man. So how are you guys feeling, man? How you feeling this football Sunday, Brandon? We'll start with you.
I mean, I feel good. I feel good almost every Sunday morning, and then lately it's just been depressed by the afternoon. But I feel good this morning. I don't know why. I have this vision that the offense is going to run well. It's going to be like a well-oiled machine by now. After all the reps throughout the season, I'm hoping and praying that this offense can look like a decent offense today. There's no excuse at this point. This is as healthy as we're going to get. Having Deshaun Jackson at the end of the season, it's not going to really help much. It's not going to change anything. Maybe getting Zach Ertz. I don't think he's playing today. I could be wrong, but I think they just put him on like the 21-day. But getting him back will be nice. But if I don't see Goddard really eating out there, then I don't know what Zach Ertz is really going to do for us. This is, like I said, this is as healthy as we're going to get. And if we don't look good today, I don't know what we're going to do in those next 3 games that are juggernaut games.
They got no choice in the matter to look good today. I mean, backs against the wall. I mean, any other week, I would say, yeah. This team, they do best. My son wants to jump in here.
There we go.
All right, go ahead, bud. Go. Thanks. Sorry about that. But yeah, I would say, hey, backs against the wall. This Eagles team's usually the best of the best, but right now, I can't feel that. I can't feel that at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the past couple of years, like you said, our backs have been against the wall, whether it be for injuries or just lack thereof playing. I don't even know what the word is. It's just for some reason we forget how to play football in the first half of the season usually. But if it's whether it's injuries or whatever it may be, we have had our back against the wall. And Doug Peterson, Jim Schwartz, they've been able to coach these kids up and get the best out of them. I'm just losing faith. Like, to be honest, especially in coaching. And that's probably the worst position to lose faith in right now. It's just not looking good, I just want to get your guys' opinions on the coaching so far, and then I'll kind of get into some of my questions. But what are your guys' thoughts on how the coaching has been looking so far?
You can go first.
Garbage? Is that a good way? Is that a good way of putting it? Garbage. Let me preface what I'm about to say is I love Doug Peterson. I'm going to love him forever. He brought me and a fan base something we've never seen, and that is a Super Bowl. But I don't like. He got pissed week 10. You're getting pissed now, Doug? I mean, I don't know if you've watched the last 9 weeks prior. It's hasn't been pretty, so you should have been pissed after week 1 as far as I'm concerned. But maybe give him a little break 4 or 5 weeks in, and you still aren't pissed. He's mad because he's getting criticized more than ever, and I'm not happy with what I've seen.
Right, the coaching, you can chalk it up. People can blame Wentz. They can be like, we should have kept Foles, or let's get Hurts in the game and see what he can do. But at the end of the day, who's holding Wentz or any of these players accountable during practice? What's practice look like? Are they working hard, or are they just going through the motions and it's sloppy or it's not intense? Like you said, they should have been mad, and he should have been mad after blowing the lead week 1. We were up by 17 points, and that should have been an easy win to get the season rolling. We lose that, and it's been downhill since. So if you're going to get mad, this isn't the week to get mad. All the way at the beginning of the season, he should have been pissed, and those practices should have been intense and serious. And I mean, that's why when you look at a team like the Patriots, even with the players that they had, like the most COVID players out this season that opted out, then they have a brand new quarterback, but you still don't hear the drama, and you can tell how Cam's demeanor is kind of more, I don't want to say militant, but serious in a sense. And that's the Bill Belichick coaching. That's how he runs his stuff. And I love how Doug was able to galvanize everyone, but I need him to be more serious, and I need him to really like get into these guys.
I agree. And one other thing I wanted to add in, I have this little theory I'm running with. And I mean, look, at Doug's 1-4 coming out of the bye week. And I'm not blaming him for injuries, but since he's been head coach, the injury bug has been the worst the Eagles have seen in forever. So is it a preparation thing? Is he too, like, kind of like what you were mentioning? Is he too lax, kind of letting guys do what they want when they want? I know the reports came out about Carson's, how he gets prepared, his sloppy practices. I thought that was clickbait, to be 100% honest with you.
Probably.
But ultimately, I do question him getting things ready. And is it have to wait till their back's against the wall every time? Are we just destined to never have, like, once again, 2017 was one of the only years I could think of in a long time where we actually had a game where we dominated any team, good team, bad team. I mean, you can go back to the Jets game last year and see, like, okay, we were pretty dominant then, but if you weren't, we were in trouble. But like, I go back to 2017. I was at almost every home game that year. The Broncos game, I mean, they just got slammed. Yep. This team hasn't been the same, and there's a few. I think there's some sort of break in the hierarchy. If it's Howie, if it's Doug, if it's Schwartz. My thing is Schwartz was never his guy. Howie, I feel he's in his own head. I think he's starting to feel the heat. I think he can stop looking at, 2017, I brought you guys a Super Bowl. Well, what have you done for me lately?
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I think everybody, and I hate to bring up my Uber driver again, but me and him had a great conversation. But
sometimes the best, right?
You know what I'm saying? But no, like even he said, it's like we gave everybody a pass from 2017, and that's fine. That, we as a fan base did not see a Super Bowl for a long time. We were going to be a little emotional, and it was going to take a little bit. The Super Bowl hangover is real. We now know we're on the other side of it. But that is over. The honeymoon is over, and it's time to really start evaluating whose problem is it. Is it, who isn't getting these people prepared? Because at the end of the day, that's the problem. There's not, is it in their head? Is it that you're not prepared? When you go out on the field, you are not looking ready. So that is the issue. That is what needs to be solved. So whose fault is it? Me personally, I do think Doug is too much of a friend. I want to bring up what you said, Brandon, the other day, kind of comparing his personality, that he has that alpha personality. I think that's a very good point. That's a very solid point, simply because if you're not going to have somebody that can rein your quarterback in and kind of calm him down when he thinks that he's Joe World Beater or whatever you want to call it, you know what I'm saying? You're not gonna have success. You don't have a Bill Belichick that can just shut any player up, you know what I'm saying, and say, well, kiss the ring. This is what we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And like you said, you wanted to shoot. I want to see Doug Peterson mad 2 years ago when we went 9-7, to be honest with you. For it to take 2 years of, consistent inconsistencies, it is just frustrating, and I've said time and time again, I'm not one to say, get rid of Doug Peterson. I don't think we're at that stage yet. Jim Schwartz, another story, but Doug Peterson, not yet. You know what I'm saying? But he definitely does have to, for lack of better terms, he's got to kind of ball up, man. He's got to show that he's got those cojones and really run this team. You know what I'm saying?
It's time for a change in some ways. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think Doug goes, and B, I don't think I want Doug to go. But there has to be some sort of, hey, Doug, guess what? I'm Jeff Lurie. You need to find an OC and stick with an OC. This nine people offensive coordinator, Knights of the Round Table, whatever you want to call it thing, it's not working. Too many, exactly. I mean, and I'm kind of wondering, is that where Carson's coming in? He's got 10 guys telling him 10 different things. Like, and I also think Carson's one of those guys who like, I do what I want. It's worked for me this way. I'm cool with it. But I don't know. Like he has to have some sort of change, and something has to come down to make a change. I think it has to come from Jeff. And on the Howie thing, he needs to stop making judgment calls on talent. That has to go. That's hey, you want to do contracts? You want to do numbers? Cool, man. I'm all about it.
Facts.
Other than that, stay away from it.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. And Jeffrey Lurie's another one. Jeffrey Lurie he's got to man up, man. Like you own this team, man.
You need to start pulling maybe some Jerry Jones moves and start like getting.
Let's not say Jerry Jones, but I know what you mean.
Hey, the guy has rings.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think also part of the issue is that we're in that transition phase, right? Where we wanted the team to get younger, therefore we let some of our older guys leave, and some of those older guys were leaders among the players. Like, yeah, you have your coaches, but then we're missing the Malcolm Jenkins, the Chris Longs. I know Darren Sproles, I think he's somewhere involved with the team, but you're missing him out on the field. You're missing Brandon Brooks to injury. You're missing some of these veteran voices that were there throughout the last couple of years that were able to maybe galvanize the team, maybe say, like, it's our backs against the wall, we're the underdogs, let's go, da-da-da-da-da. But now you're getting the younger guys that need to step up. The Jalen Mills, Carson Wentz needs to be more of a leader. You got all these guys. So I can see why we're struggling a little bit. But at the beginning of this season, I assumed that we at least would be a better team, considering that the other teams in our division all had new head coaches, all had new systems coming in. And you could see them struggling, but I didn't see us struggling, considering that we had some kind of continuity around the coaches.
Yeah, that was supposed to be our saving grace, that we still had the same coaching staff, and now it's looking like more of a hindrance. So shout out to the process. He asked, do y'all think Doug will have the cojones, we'll say, to bench Wentz if he's the reason we get down early? I'm going to say no, because he hasn't shown it yet. But you guys, what do you guys think?
No, when especially with the season where it's at, yeah, if we're losing and the records are bad, then sure, it's easy to say, well, just give Hurts a shot. I mean, we're going to lose anyways. But at this point, especially with the stretch, unless if he's going to do it, today might be the time to do it, because then maybe that'll give Carson a light of fire under him for the next 3 games. But we're going into a tough stretch, and getting someone's confidence down right now may not be the best move.
Yeah, I don't see them doing it. It'd be really hard, especially now you're paying this guy $100 million to do so and to bench him at this point. And I can't blame, like, listen, I'm not a Carson apologist in any which way. I do like Carson a lot, and I think he has a lot of upside. But I think there is, I think this organization hasn't done much to help him out. And to bench him is just like, might as well just slap him in the face again. I mean, right. you get your, this quarterback factory comment, which I think was the dumbest comment they could have ever made, which makes it sound like, well, then I'm just another item on your conveyor belt. Then, like, is that what you're trying to tell me? Not $100 million a quarterback that you can trust, on a franchise quarterback. Then you go number 2 when we have dire needs across the board, and you bring in another quarterback. The whole Nick Foles thing, they should have dispelled that right away. They took way too long with that. I mean, listen, the locker room. You know what you know, and especially take the players, for instance. They know that they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles at the helm that day. But I always remind people, Nick Foles wouldn't even been in the party if Carson Wentz didn't drive the bus. Right. You know what I mean? If he wasn't there, I was in LA that game when he got hurt. Watched him score a touchdown, with a torn ACL. I mean, I've seen it. So to sit here and like get all the Folesians, guys can just say what you want, forget about it. It doesn't mean anything. He's gone. He's that girlfriend that you guys just can't let go. It's like, let it go. The relationship's over. Move on. But personally, it's like I just keep seeing this stream of things. They keep having these offensive coordinators, this stream of things that keeps occurring, that they keep just slapping him in the face a little bit more. Now, you can take what I'm saying and say, well, listen, he should toughen up a little bit and be able to handle it. I agree with that as well, but not everybody's built that way. I'm not going to compare him to a Patrick Mahomes or anything like that. But it is when your organization is showing you that we don't trust that you're going to be around, or you're not going to get hurt, or we don't feel that it's important to get you the weapons. That sends a really large signal. Now, if I'm picking up, Carson is.
Right. Now let's look back to even Donovan McNabb. This franchise has not proven that they are willing to put weapons around franchise quarterbacks. That's just a fact. You know what I'm saying? You can even go back to Gang Green. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we lost a lot of quarterbacks that year that we went 10-6 and missed the playoffs. But we had Randall Cunningham. That was about it. That on offense, we had nothing else. We had a great defense. We had nothing on offense. And it's a pattern. And yes, I agree. Carson, there's both sides of the fence. You can say Carson needs to be better. You can say we need to be better for Carson. At the end of the day, they need to get on the same page. And maybe it was Frank Reich that, kind of kept everybody in the same mindset. Hey, maybe it was just winning that kept everybody in the same mindset, and it wasn't just one person. Winning changes a lot of things. So it is what it is.
Consistent winning.
Exactly.
We won a couple games this season.
And just having the same team, we haven't put out the same team like more than maybe 2 weeks in a row this year. So it's frustrating, but even the people that are on the field, you see a lot that they're not doing well. And big shout out to Kevin Thomas saying, hope we get a big day on the defensive side, and hopefully we can convert on third.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It's going to be huge.
Hasn't happened in 3 weeks, but hey, why not, right?
No time like the present, right?
And just to go back on that quarterback factory comment, it's like, who have we developed? Kevin Kolb? What quarterbacks? I don't remember.
I mean, think about if you go through the quarterbacks. Donovan was the last one. Mike Vick, if you want to count him, he was already an established quarterback. So we haven't developed anybody. That's like saying I'm gonna be a supermodel just because I want to say it. Doesn't you kind of have to prove it a little bit. You have to have some proof behind you. It doesn't work that way. And the fact that you say that, I'm thinking I feel expendable again. Am I expendable? And then is that why we push plays and rush plays? And I want to bring that up too, because if you think about it, a lot of people were kind of pounding on Carson, pound. He's turned the ball over too much. He's not throwing the ball away enough. Let's look back at the Giants game. Didn't turn the ball over, played a much more conservative game, and we lost.
Yep.
And that brings up.
Is he forced to do so?
Yeah, that brings up a great question. Somebody asked yesterday, if he didn't play hero ball, we probably wouldn't score more than 20 points a game. So, and I've talked about this a couple of times. If you look at what Doug Peterson's play calling is, yes, it's to a certain extent it's exotic, I guess. Like some of his play calling is good, but a lot of it is within inches. Like you have to, everything is the tightest of windows for Carson. Everything is a millisecond of a read. You know what I'm saying? Everything is very, very intricate, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. But when one thing goes wrong, then it's a domino effect. And that whole offense just shatters down when one thing goes wrong. And you look back at the play calling, Doug just is allergic to the run when it's a close game, apparently. And we have one of the best running backs in the league, statistic-wise.
Sure.
It's not even me just saying it because I'm a fan of him. Like we have, had somebody that is putting out the numbers that we need at a running back position. So, and we have Elijah Holyfield coming up, so hopefully that helps. But it's
sorely missed too.
Yeah.
The type of running back. See, that was the thing I've been saying since the season started. I'm like, I was hoping they would bring some sort of bruiser north-south running back in who can pound 3 yards in a cloud of dust type, old cliche, whatever you want to say. They are missing that sorely, and not one of our guys. I feel like our guys were a lot of the same type of back. Like we didn't have that somebody's going to pound the defensive line and make them sorry that they clogged up the hole. It's kind of nice to see that because I feel like that was missing. And to your point, they were doing really well running the ball, and then he's like, "That's another thing that's maddening about Doug. Oh well, we're doing well. Let's abandon it and go back to throwing the ball." Like I'm not saying take the ball out of Carson's hands, but if it's working, here's my thing is, I don't care if you're coaching Pee Wee football or NFL football. If one play they can't stop, run the play every time. Every time, run the play until they stop you. And he doesn't understand that. And that's I don't know. I can't. It's one of those things that keep me up at night.
And it's crazy because, you want to let Carson throw the ball. It's prettier that way when the ball sails 50 yards and we're getting big bomb touchdowns and whatnot. But if you look at a team like Seattle, they have Russell Wilson, who's arguably either the best or top 3 quarterback in the league. And last year and all these years, their main identity has been run the ball. Like they have their committee, or they had beast mode, or I mean, when they lost to, I think, the Cowboys in the playoffs, they were down and they were still running the ball. Like you could argue, okay, let Russell throw the ball at that point because you're down. But that's Russell Wilson. And at this point, we just need to develop the run, make our team known for what we were, at least back in 2017 when we ran the ball, which gave Carson a chance to throw quick passes and made the defense play. They had to respect the run, so they moved up a little bit. Then those bombs come. If you start throwing bombs off out of the gate, it's just not going to work out. That's coming from a fan, let alone.
And that's the thing. That's football 101. I mean, it's one thing sets up the next thing. I mean, can you run the ball 100% of the time or throw the ball? No, you can't. Depending on the defense you're playing, can it sway more one way or the other? Absolutely. But it just, if it's working and the other thing isn't, and the other thing is he can really take the winds out of the sail when you keep going for 2-point conversion. Our team hasn't been that. Like, I can understand if this, once again, 2017, when we're destroying teams, and you want to go, you nail in the coffin, throw a couple, get a couple extra points out of it, really to settle things in. But when your team is struggling to score points and you finally put a touchdown on the board and you take one of those points off because you want to be big balls, Doug, I don't know. That's there's a time and a place. I know it's kind of like you know the beast you deal with, and that's the kind of offense, this aggressive type offense he runs. But it's all about timing. It's like right. Being a comedian. If you're going to tell a joke, you got to know the people you're telling the joke to, and you got to make sure the timing's correct. If not, the joke doesn't land. Well, the play's not landing, and we're losing points. So you just put up a touchdown, and then you walk off deflated because one of those points are off the board already.
Right. Exactly. That's huge. I feel like we got to keep going back to 2017 because that was supposed to be the new norm. But if you go back to that, Doug was very good at what you kind of said, reading the room. He understood what his offense was doing, and maybe that's Frank Reich. It is what it is. But they were good at reading the room, understanding what our offense was doing well, understanding what the other defense wasn't doing well, and attacking that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like this year we came in with a predetermined game plan. I feel like in September of last year, we knew what we were going to do in September of this year. Like it makes no sense. There's no halftime adjustments. There's nothing, and even last year, we weren't great in the first half of games. And it's kind of been a consistent thing with the Eagles, but at least in the second half, we would come back out and we would have adjustments. The defense would adjust. We'd figure something out. It's just not happening. We maybe have a good quarter of football, and that's about it, and it's frustrating. Yeah, and it's frustrating.
And who does that remind you of? Who does that remind you of? A guy who wouldn't make the adjustments and had a plan and just kept running with it. Maybe the guy who trained him, Andy Reid. I mean, he was one of the things that I'm like, all right, Andy, can we try thinking on their feet? And I don't know if if it was Doug, Frank Reich, anybody else who would make us feel like he was this quick thinker. He could draw up a play on the spot like that. He literally told us at one game he ran out of plays.
Yep.
Yeah. How do you run out of plays? I mean, even if you have just throw this out there, 10 plays for short yardage, just 10. Technically, you have 20 because you could flip the plays left to right. So now you have 20 plays. Did we just run 20 plays, all short yardage? Did I miss something? Because I don't remember running 20 plays. And here's an idea. Use one of the ones from the beginning. Like the fact that you can say to us, straight face in an interview, oh, by the way, I ran out of plays. And then the times when he says Carson doesn't understand the whole playbook yet. Well, one thing is then simplified a little bit. But if he doesn't understand the whole playbook, but you ran out of plays, that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't jive.
Right. And I mean, that also goes back to why we don't have a bruiser running back. I mean, yeah, we're getting Elijah this week at least, but what about all season? Like, if you feel like your creative 2-point conversion, short yardage, red zone plays are all out, well, if you have a bruiser, you can get in the power eye and just shove it up the middle and hope for the best. Like, those are easy plays compared to college. All the linemen are spread out and you can put Jalen Hurts in. Those are idiotic plays. These are NFL players. They're fast. They get it. Like, if you're not going to put I don't know.
And knowing that you had how many different offensive lines, I mean, it's like Swiss cheese at times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's certain guys like, like, oh, Jason Peters is back. I'm like, I don't remember him being that great at the beginning of the season, so I wasn't super happy about it. I'm like, listen, I don't want to sound like an Eagles fan through and through, but I'm a realist at the same time. The odds of this team winning a Super Bowl this year are very, very slim, okay?
Oh, for sure.
So if I'm going to take anything out of this year, number one would be progress from my quarterback. Number two would be, well, I know we're looking for a left tackle. And we all know it's not Jason Peters. Andre Dillard is hurt, okay? So he's not doing it. Now we got Mailata, who's played well. I'm not going to say he's a world beater, but he's played well. For a guy his size and athleticism, it can only get better. Why are we not giving him a chance and move Jason Peters over? And that kind of goes more into my theory is here's Doug and the organization saying, Jason Peters came in my office and said, I want to play left tackle for this team. I want to make this team better. Maybe add a couple zeros at the end of my paycheck. Let's not get caught up in details. That was another thing. And I'm a huge Jason Peters fan. Once again, I got his signed jersey up in my upstairs. But that hurt me. Like, when you can't play for this team, it's giving you everything. I mean, the guy's got a Super Bowl truck, right. And he didn't even play in it. Mm-hmm. Nobody points that out. But my point, and I don't care. He earned that as much as anybody else did, even though he didn't play at the time. But he is. We're told they're not keeping with the old guys. They're going to move on. I'm not seeing that when you bring a Jason Peters, and I don't want to hear he's Jeff Lurie's best friend. I got great friends, but some of them don't work in business with me, and I wouldn't let my friend tell me how I run my business if I think that's. And especially if he's like, well, pay me a lot of money to do a job I really can't do anymore. He might have been one of the best, but might have one of the best. He's not one of the best currently right now. He's past tense.
Facts. Yeah. And that was something that frustrated me when he first came back from his injury the second time. When Jordan Mailata was doing well, I was definitely on the bandwagon of like, hey, let him finish his job there. He's doing well. Why mess that up right now? Why move him to right tackle, make him learn something totally new? Even though he's kind of a swing tackle, he's got as much as a swing tackle as he can be in 3 years from rugby. But you know what I mean. But either way, he's done well. He's played well. Why mess that up? Especially like you said, for somebody that did not play well in the beginning of the year. And a lot of people were screaming, "Well, we paid him." Well, I don't care. You can have that money. We messed up. It is what it is. That's the thing. Like, I feel like this organization is so afraid to admit when they're wrong, and we kind of did it with Razul and Sydney, but we might not have been wrong. So it's like, I feel like they maybe listen to the fans too much or not enough. It's like, it's just so frustrating. It's like, who's running this organization?
Well, it's that smartest man in the room situation, and that's kind of my problem. And that's all of them. I think Doug, I think Jim, and I think Howie all fall into the smartest man in the room. And the one thing I've been saying is, like, we've been playing this pass the buck. Like, well, Doug or Jim didn't call a timeout in that Steelers game because that's the head coach's job, and he didn't want to make Doug mad. Really? So is that the problem? So if you went to Doug, hey, I took one of those timeouts because we are about to get toasted for 6 more points when we can't afford to. I'll fight that out with my head coach in the back room after the game's over, and I'm sure if we keeps us from them scoring a touchdown, he'd get over it pretty quickly.
Facts, yeah. And like I said, winning cures everything. I would love to see. I would love to see an argument on the sideline. I would love to see somebody throwing their helmet. I would love to see a coach go over to Carson Wentz and ask him what the hell he's doing. Like, I would love to see this team act like they care. But I feel like every Sunday we do not see it. And this is me being optimistic. This is me, like thinking we can
super optimistic right now.
Like, this is me thinking we can win this week. But no, I just need to see this team act like they're there. It's like, and like you said, I understand that the Super Bowl is probably a pipe dream at this point, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But we have a real chance to make the playoffs. Even if we don't make the playoffs, our draft pick's not going to be that much better. So go get the experience. Go get these young guys in there. We know next year is going to be a totally different team. Totally different team. You know what I'm saying? Whether it be because of cap, whether it be because of people that we're just going to have to part ways with. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to see us fight. As simple as it sounds, I just want to see a fight.
Coming out deflated against the Giants on a bye week really it makes it hard to feel any kind of optimism to this team. It doesn't seem like they want to be there. It doesn't seem like I feel like guys are going through the motions, whatever you want to call it. Jason Kelsey has been a tried and true stallion for us. He couldn't snap the ball.
Right.
I don't understand that. And the O-line wasn't playing. I couldn't. Can you? If you guys could point out one thing that went well during that Giants game, maybe Danny Jones was kicking well. I don't know. I can't find a thing to put my finger on and say, well, that game you could take away. This was good.
Jake Elliott kicked the field goal. That's
Jake Elliott. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, I mean everything went wrong last week. I mean, even with special teams, I feel like I don't know when it's time to put a new punt returner back there, but Greg Ward, I swear, he never wants to catch the punts. They go over his head, or he tries to think they're gonna bounce into the end zone, and they never do. And we keep getting ourselves backed up in between the 15 and 5 yard line and starting off drives that way. Everything just needs to change up a little bit. Maybe getting some more, I don't know, give Rager a chance more, or maybe Boston Scott returning punts. I have no idea. Something's got to change at all assets of the game.
And Dave Phipp is usually like one of our most consistent pieces as a coach goes, at least. And even our special teams. I mean, we buy you players, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I've never seen a team invest so much into a special teams unit. You know what I mean?
They draft players all the time for, he's a special teamer. I'm like, he's a 4th round pick. I mean, whatever. But if it works, but we don't care about linebackers. We dig to the bargain basement, bottom of the shelf guy for the linebacker because they're not important.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with people before about Howie. A lot of people will say Howie's cheap. Howie isn't cheap. Howie is like that, Valley girl that shops at Target. They'll spend $1 million at Target finding bargain, buys that will not help you at all. But they won't go to, IKEA and buy that really nice furniture set that they actually need. You know what I mean? They'll just go buy a bunch of little dollar knickknacks.
Well, that's that smartest man in the room situation with him again. Right. I'm being the smartest guy in the room. I know better. If I get these guys, it's better than spending all the money on this guy. And it's not even just about, like you said, it's not just about spending the money. It's about spending the money on the right person. Duke Riley, they got him 2 years ago, and he was a project guy. And like, all right, well, he's your back. He's only playing linebacker because you have no other choice right now. No, I don't get that. And I blame Jim Schwartz a lot at times about his bend don't break. I'm not like 100% on board with that. Or actually, I'm not on board with that at all, I should say. But like, then you hear like he one of these players that would make a huge difference on the team. Yet we got Jalen Hurts. We at EOP we do our the draft live. We just go along with the draft and talk about it and all that stuff. That second night, I lost my mind, which I know I'm not one. I'm one of many. But at that point, I didn't feel confident about this year, and I got over it. I got the homer in me. I got over a while. I'm like, maybe they'll figure something out. But you don't draft a guy at second place to play Taysom Hill, Wildcat quarterback, because he's a guy, once again, they got off the practice squad. He's not. They didn't spend a second-round pick on him. So it just continues, and will continue to boggle my mind.
If they somehow, some way flip Hurts into like a 1st-round pick later down the line, then maybe I'll be like, oh, you're investing in the future. But until something crazy happens, that had to be I don't know what it is about the draft for him. He doesn't like to take the obvious choice. It's like he's trying to outsmart, like you said, everyone in the room, everyone in the NFL. It's like, let's go take JJ Arcega-Whiteside instead of the list of other wide receivers that are actually pretty good, or like the guy that's the most jacked in the room that actually runs super fast in DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Or let me go for Rager, who can potentially be a good wide receiver, and pass up a guy like Justin Jefferson or Brandon Ayuk or any of those other guys that are doing well in their systems. And it's just, I just don't get it. It's just like you won the lottery once and you keep going back thinking you're going to keep hitting those same numbers. And you just got to, sometimes just take the obvious choice.
Facts.
Absolutely.
I want to read a quick comment because they're in here just basically having a whole conversation with themselves. So I want to ask one of the questions. Shout out to Infamous 2K. Start that channel, bro. We waiting. I think we should bench Jeffrey, put Rager on the outside, and put Ward in the slot. Would y'all do that because Greg Ward was a big third down guy? How do you guys feel about that?
I'll answer that real quick. First part, Alshon Jeffrey should have been on IR. What a waste of a spot on the roster he has been this entire time. Listen, let's take away the issues we had in the locker room with him. Let's take that off the board for a second. He wasn't a world beater last year. He's definitely seen a decline. There's nothing that makes me feel positive about having him on this team or on the field at all. I don't understand benching him. No, he should just not be on he should be on IR. Whatever it is, yes, I'll agree with that because I want Rager in there. I want to see him grow. Wasting throws to Alshon, who's not going to be here next year, is mind-boggling. Yes, Greg Ward has tried and true hands. Continue with him. Keep Welker on Fulgham. I'm okay with that. Alshon Jeffrey, I don't even want to talk about him, let alone see him on the field. I had people, my guy Fred on my show, he said, "Oh, watch, Alshon's going to have 6 receptions and a touchdown, 65 yards or something." I said, "Dude, whatever you're smoking, share it with the rest of us because I don't say it. The guy gets one target. So, and you sit there and they put out these pictures of, oh, look how trimmed down he is and he's ripped and he's ready to go and he's super healthy. And we throw the ball to him one time. So whatever. What do I know? I'm just a guy who watches sports.
He didn't even it was a catch.
He has it.
Catchable.
That wasn't even a good throw. He was pretty much double covered with the guy underneath and the safety over the top. Like that could have just easily been, if he threw it any lower, could have been intercepted. So that was just a poor read and throw. And sometimes Carson does that. He predetermines who he wants to throw to, and he just goes for it, even if it's not a smart play.
Sometimes it's more like all the time. I've done these. Starting the podcast this year, I've obviously been doing the all 22s a lot more. And when I watch that guy, man, he literally gets out and he just stares. Like he's just staring at you for a good half a second until he realizes, oh, okay, this guy's cut. Oh, I'm sacked. That's literally how this. And don't get me wrong, the offensive line has not been doing him any favors, but Carson, I don't know what it is with Carson, man. Carson just gets so stuck on one person.
His footwork, it's definitely with him. It's a comfort level. I mean, Zach Ertz, he threw to him all the time, and which is fine if they're catching it and they're doing well. But at one point, kind of like the Russell Wilson effect, we see him now. They were riding that horse. Let Russ cook. Well, the heat's off. I mean, it's cold now. Russ ain't cooking anything because he's either getting tired. It's catching up with them. They're figuring them out, and it kind of works the same way as they know he has his progressions. And so, 2 things with Carson I could say I see is footwork's an issue with him, and it's not being either it's not being worked on or he's not listening to or whatever it is. Footwork's an issue, but also the progressions, like he's not reading those progressions like he was before.
Yeah, and one thing I want to bring up before I read this comment is I was thinking about this earlier. I meant to say it. A lot of talking about the draft. One thing that kind of stuck out to me is when we drafted Miles Sanders. For them to basically troll, I guess is the best way to put it, Deuce Staley. Looking back, that might have told us a lot more about what power Howie had than we might have realized. Because if Deuce really, really wanted Miles Sanders, and Miles Sanders made a lot of sense at that position, and he was basically going to be okay with saying, oh, well, Howie didn't pick him. I didn't realize even back then that Howie had that much power that you could just say, we're not getting a running back. So that's just a little off cuff that I never really thought of till now. And I'm just like, oh, that's kind of messed up.
It's one of those things that I saw Howie was like, he was like laughing about it. You guys don't think I draft running backs early or something like that. And it's just like, bro, once again, who are you trying to outsmart? He was a good player. He's a good choice. Sometimes it's okay to go with the obvious choice at that pick.
It's actually
okay. It would have been better. I mean, I did a whole thing where I went from 2016 and on, 2017 and on in each draft. Now, listen, hindsight's 2020, and a lot of people. DK Metcalf still eats me alive. That's one of those ones when people say his name. I even drafted him in my fantasy, and I cringe just like knowing that we could have him. And here's my point: is a lot of people passed up on him, so I can't blame him totally. But when his excuse was he didn't know how to run a route. You could teach that, right? Am I wrong? You could teach, like a good wide receiver coach, could teach him how to do that. You can't teach height. You can't teach strength. You can't teach speed. You can't teach ability, which he has. And that was there. Nobody disputed them. You can teach route running.
Yeah.
J.J. Arthur-Whiteside is a second-round pick who will be – he won't even have a job. If he gets picked – if we were to release him today or next year, and he would work for free, I don't think he'd get a job.
Yeah.
And that's my thing.
He doesn't deserve to be on the field. And
I don't know if he wants to be some days.
Yeah, I mean, we might have another. Who was it? Danny Watkins, the fireman.
He didn't even know if he wanted to play football.
Yeah, maybe JJ wants to be a fireman. Let's start a fire somewhere and see if he runs in. Maybe we'll find his. His new passion.
But also on the opposite side of it, and I think one of your guys brought it up in the comments I've been reading along here, is you look at guys who have left, and Nelson Aguilar is doing much better down in Las Vegas. Is that us? Is that the team? Is that the coach not coaching right, not knowing where to put the players? Is it the stress that this as a fan base we put on a team that some guys can't handle? Because in this town, let's be honest, in this town, you're a god or we just destroy you. There's really no in between. Right. Not until later in your career when once you've retired. We're on your case no matter what. You forget to dot the I or cross the T, we're on your case. And maybe that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, but it makes it harder. But once again, if a guy's not mentally tough, you're not going to be able to handle that. And like I said, Carson Foles will never have to buy a beer again. Like, he walks in any bar, every beer is his. He can pick any girl at the bar he wants. He goes, I don't care if you're married to her. Go ahead, Mr. Foles. She's all yours. We'll meet up later. I'll just send her a cab back to the house when you're done. Like that's how it works. And on the opposite side, we bury you, which is fine. We have the right to, and I'm okay with it. I think that's what makes Philly even more fun is that the way we know who cleans the lockers at the end of the night. You can go to almost any other fan base. They don't know special teams coaches. They don't know anything about who they worked with, who they used to work with, who they like. Oh, they brought that guy in because he has a connection to him. We know that, and that's what makes this fan base great. But sometimes I think there's a mental toughness that comes with this game, or people just look good in college and they don't translate well in the NFL. And all in the same thing is how he always seems to go to these Stanford guys or something. Once again, like you said earlier, you're not going to always get that bet. You're not going to always hit the money on that. You have to pick different numbers in that lottery and go for the one that's, because you know what? If you pick somebody who was the right pick to make and he didn't pan out, we're you're gonna hear us, but we're not gonna. It's not your fault. He just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
Everything was pointing towards him. But you go pick a guy who could be great, and you think you're telling us he could be the next best thing, and then he comes in and he's hot garbage. I mean, he can't even sniff the field. He's a healthy scratch. We are ridden with injuries, and he's a healthy scratch. Somebody's got to explain that one away.
Right. Yeah. As soon as you pick a player, and the first sentence out of everyone's mouth is, damn, you could have got him in like the third or fourth round. You lost right there. Like, unless he turns out to be a legend, it's game over from there. Then at that point, it's just like, what are you thinking? What makes you think that you're smarter than every NFL analysis, every fan that has watched college football, every fan that watched regular football, high school football, NFL football? Like, you see a guy that has crazy potential and he's slipping in the draft, and you go for a guy because you think you can outsmart everyone.
And Howie hasn't played a snap of. I don't think he's even played foosball.
He's that last guy picked in recess football, man.
Seriously, like that kid doesn't even play dodgeball. He keeps score in most rec sports, but it's like, so I don't understand why he thinks his football mind is anywhere even near someone like Doug Peterson, who's seen players on both sides of the spectrum, whether being a coach or a player. I mean, he sat behind Brett Favre, which I don't want my quarterback to be Brett Favre, but, it is what it is. He's played with some great players. He's seen some great players. He's coached with some great coaches. Howie hasn't done any of that. Howie has, been in the back room while Chip Kelly ruined our team. And I think that's another big thing with Howie is that, yes, he is very good with the numbers, and I'll never take that away from him. But I think the Eagles fans, just as much as we are elated still by the Super Bowl win, I think we're still a little bit scarred by the whole Chip Kelly era. So, it's hard for us to really get on Doug's back or get on Howie's back because we've seen the worst of both when you had Chip. Because, Chip was I'll say this: Chip wasn't the worst coach. His hurry up offense was idiotic, but he was not a terrible coach. Once we gave him GM duties, he just ruined everything. He just like kind of threw everything in the fire.
Well, I think he was the epitome of the smartest man in the room. I mean, he was the guy who said, "Doesn't matter who the player is, it's my system that's going to make us win." And that came back to bite him ultimately. But once again, there's a cause and effect to every situation. We might not have had a Super Bowl, or we might not have had a Howie Roseman as pumped to move up to get a Carson Wentz, or to do any of the other moves that he made that were good, the ones that we aren't looking at right this second because we just want to crucify him, rightfully so. But if it didn't happen, we might not have been in a chance to get that 2017 to bring Doug Peterson in. And like I said, I had a theory on him too. I think they took a flyer on Doug because here comes their old boy Andy Reid. They're trying to I'll be honest with you. On my show, Joe, he's my partner. He'll tell you he was one of the few people who were super happy when Doug was brought into town. I wasn't. I felt like that was just like Andy Reid. We're trying to rewind the times, live the heydays, like not moving on or whatever. Fine. I'll eat my crow very much so in that situation, but I don't think they felt comfortable. I mean, think about it. They brought Jim Schwartz in before they brought him in. And then here you go. And I really feel like they whispered in his ear, said, "Hey, Jim, listen, we're going to take a flyer on this guy, see how he works out. Could be good for us. And if not, you're the guy. You're moving up." Well, we won a Super Bowl. Didn't see that one coming, like that type situation. Right. But there's just a lot of things that need to add up. So as much as we dislike Chip Kelly, but if it wasn't for those dark days of Chip Kelly, we might not have had that Super Bowl in 2017. I can't say it would definitely never happen, but it did set up. Yeah. It did set up a lot of things to happen in our favor that way.
And it's crazy how you bring in Andy's boy and Doug, but didn't Andy also draft Nick Foles? That was also like an Andy pick. So the fact that we won a Super Bowl with like Andy's boys is kind of funny. But just I hate the name Chip Kelly only because he did it's like trauma. Like all you have to think about is Kiko Alonso. We lost a prime LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso.
Yeah.
That's all I know about Chip.
I unfortunately drank his Kool-Aid too much, And once again, that was actually Jeff Lurie picking the sexy pick again because, he was supposed to be this new innovative coach who was just going to, change the NFL for as we knew it. But that actually didn't turn out. And props to Jeff Lurie for pulling the plug on it sooner because he could have been like, let's ride this just a little bit longer, see where we can go. And then, but he said, nah. And listen, a lot of it had to stem from, it sounds like, that Chip was just not, he missed the owner's Christmas party, which put a bad taste in his mouth. And he wouldn't talk to players in the hallway. Like, he was a very odd duck. But
those are the kind of things that we were just talking about, that if you make a pick or bring in someone that had potential, that like everyone's like, oh, he may change the way in the NFL. Like, yeah, we could be scarred as a fan base because of Chip Kelly, of what he did, but bringing him in wasn't like the worst choice or anything. It's like that was at that moment in time. It was like, whoa, we might be onto something here. Like, we're going to change the face of the NFL with this one. We might get Mariota. I know he was trying so hard. I saw one of the trade, like what the trade would have been if they agreed with the Titans. And it was like Fletcher Cox and all these picks and everything for Mariota. Thank God that didn't happen. But it's just like at that moment in time, it was like, wow, we might be onto something. But it failed. But those are moves that I can't be mad at ownership for, because we just didn't know it was going to be that bad. We just all knew that he could have came in and changed things up for our team.
Something I've related it to a lot, and I know Brandon's probably tired of hearing this, but I'm a Nets fan, okay? I've been a Nets fan my whole life, and it's been very rough. This past year, we finally get, I don't like Kyrie Irving, but we got KD. And it just changed if we don't win, I don't even care, to be honest. It's just like we finally have some hope. And that's kind of what like Chip Kelly was. Chip Kelly was kind of like, oh, we're changing it up. We have hope now. We got something that's totally different from Andy Reid. We can do this now. Obviously, that blew up in our face. And then we kind of went. Yeah, and then we kind of went the total opposite again. It was like, all right, we need another Andy Reid. And when Doug Peterson got hired, I thought they were better coaching options. There was that guy from the Canadian Football League that ended up going to the Bears, and he sucked. There was Adam Gase. There was a couple
that guy, we pissed on that one.
But hindsight.
Thank Chip Kelly for that. If it wasn't for Chip Kelly, we literally would have had Adam Gase.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I mean, hindsight is 2020. So I agree with you. Like, if we didn't go through that unfortunate situation with Chip Kelly, we definitely probably wouldn't be where we are right now. Eagles are going down. Basement. G-men. That I did a video talking about the Eagles losing to the Giants, and now I have a bunch of Giants fans that are subscribed, and they remind me every day.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I mean, that's the beauty of what we do. I don't mind it. Howard Stern made his thing because people watched him just hate him. They said more people watch to hate him than more people or listen to hate him, I should say, and less people who listen to because they love him. So if you want to hate on us and you want to throw it at us, they don't get this often, so let them bask in glory. Fine, exactly. You get to win the East for the first time in forever if that's what happens when we're hot garbage with a 5-win record. So enjoy it.
I wanted to ask you guys a question. Someone asked, and I can't find the comment, but if you were the one that asked the comment, you can just comment it again. I'll put it up. But one of them asked, if we lose this game, does that mean we'll probably lose this division?
It's tough because let's say we lose today, but everyone else loses, then, I mean, we're back to square one next week. So, I mean, that's the issue, is that we can't afford to lose. That's the problem, is that this was supposed to be like our toughest gap of games. And so if we lost a couple here, it would have been okay because we had beat Washington. We had beat the Giants. We had beat Rookie and Joe Burrow. Like, those were games that we were supposed to win. And the fact that we lost those, we lost our buffer games. We lost games that were meant to at least give us a stepping stone to this like whole schedule of games right now. We don't have that buffer anymore. So we have to win. Otherwise, I don't know about the Cowboys, but the Giants, their defense looks better every week. And if we can easily just let the Giants go ahead and make it to the playoffs when nobody expected that, if the Eagles don't get it together.
I agree with you. And also to think about it is, it's kind of weird to say, and I want them to win. Go ahead, turn around, get some winning ways. But winning can hurt us as almost as help us and hurt us at the same time. I mean, if they win, then what happens? It gives credence to Doug a little bit. Then if there's going to be a change of not him being fired or anything, but make him change how he play calling. Getting rid of Jim Schwartz starts, getting rid of him was an option that goes out the window.
Right.
And I think Howie's the one who needs to be the move made more than anybody. Like, they need to move on from him from making decisions as personnel. But if we win out, that might mean we're stuck with him for another couple of years. I think even if they lose out, Howie's still here because that's his boy right there. But it's less likely going to happen if they continue to win. But also, I don't want to tank. So it's
it's a double-edged sword.
Hey, look, it's an Eagles fan who's emotionally torn about everything. Who would have thought, right?
Right. It's like winning. At the end of the day, it's like we want to win, but then winning becomes like a punishment because then nothing happens. It all becomes the excuse like, oh, we were down in the dumps, but we had resiliency and we had the players. They just had to develop over the season and we're good. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's part of the issue of holding anyone accountable is that there are these slumps and people playing bad, but as soon as we win, it's like it gets pushed under the rug. It's like okay, we're gonna get this together. It is what it is, and then we go back to losing, and then people start complaining, and then if we win, then it gets pushed under the rug again. So I hear what you're saying,
and that's what. Let's just play devil's advocate. Say they win the next 2 or 3 out of 4 games. What we're talking about now is forgotten about. It really is. And everybody's like, oh, like you said, oh, well, they just need to develop. They're playing better. Whatever got better. And, they're happy. And, oh, by the way, if this happens, that happens, we could make it to the Super Bowl.
Right.
It's true facts, though.
Yeah, if we make it to the Super Bowl with a tie, God bless us all. Shout out to Infamous 2K. He said, we're going to win the division because of the tie. I'm calling it now. Make sure you guys screenshot it. I did. So if we did, I'll have you on the show and we'll talk about it. But
I mean, no one wanted the tie. And it sucked seeing, but at the end of the day, I think everyone understands that, all right, the tie weighs more than a loss. So as much as we hate the tie and we hate that we played for a tie,
Yeah.
it could be the saving grace, although it's, like you said, embarrassing to say.
Well, and I go back to that, and I said that. Listen, yeah, Doug looks pretty smart for the whole tie thing in a sense, but I still say you kick the ball and see what happens because
Right.
they weren't really in field goal position. There wasn't a lot of time left. I just think that he should have still tried it. I don't know. That's just me.
I think
I'm still not off it.
Yeah, I think it could have been a big turnaround for the season, maybe morale wise. Like that could have been like the Giants game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We just stole a game,
Yeah.
and it turns around. We need something. I feel like every week I've been saying this is the type of game we need to turn it around. This is the type of game, and we have never done it. So it needs to happen at some point. So what are your guys' keys to this week? What are some things that we have to do to beat the Browns?
Run the ball. We need to establish the run. We need to get Miles Sanders going. I want to see if everything's going well and we're not down 21-3 or something where we're going to be force-fed to throw the ball. If we can run the ball at least 30 times. I feel like when we run the ball that many times, typically we end up winning the game because that's less pressure on Carson, keeping the defense honest, and Carson's able to make those throws that he wants to throw down the field and stuff like that. So I think we need to be established to run on offense as a key. And then on defense, we need to be able to slow down this running game. Our run defense has been trash this year. We've let everyone run the ball. The Giants are running the ball well. They don't even have Saquon, let alone we're playing a team with Hunt and Chubb, like the two dynamic duo of this year. So if we can slow them down, I'm not too worried about the passing game of the Browns. I think we can slow down Jarvis Landry, and there's no Odell Beckham, so we can take advantage of that. So you got to slow down the run game. I'm not saying they're going to stop the run because I know that's going to be almost impossible to do, but if you could slow it down, get them into 3rd and 6s and 3rd and 5s, then they're going to be forced to throw the ball. And I think if we're not playing 10 yards off of the wide receivers, we have a shot.
Absolutely. And I'll agree with that to the point. It's going to be won in the trenches in this case. O-line and D-line, like you said, stop the run on the D-line. I'm sure our linebackers will step up. That was sarcasm. But in the O-line, just there has to be some consistency. Give him a chance to throw when he has to throw. Give a lane for the ball for the boys to run when they have to run. I'm interested to see. I've been always kind of keep my eye on Holyfield. I like to see what he can do. See if I was right about needing that bruiser. Maybe it's just not the right one. We'll find out. But because I believe if you win there, and you can keep the game, you're not always fighting from behind. If they can have a convincing win, and I don't have to say it has to be a blowout where they throat stomp the Browns. But if they can just have a convincing win where things were cooking on all cylinders, I don't even care if it's by 1 point. Just it wasn't sloppy, and they had to pull it out of certain areas at the end of the game to make it happen. But that would be my keys to the game in that situation.
Yeah, I want to see some consistency from our coaching, man. I want to see accountability. And it's so much bigger than a win for me. I want to see if something goes wrong. I want to see the team huddle up. I want to see them guys talking to each other. I want to see, Carson Wentz looking on the tablet with I guess Press Taylor's not going to be there. So
right. So if anything, maybe Doug will actually step up and be in Carson's ear and actually go to Carson and talk to him and stuff like that.
Facts. And I feel like I've always said that Doug Peterson might not be he's not a Bill Belichick. We all know this, but I feel like he is a very good leader of men. I feel like he's a type of person that can get his troops to rally behind him. You know what I'm saying? He might be a little bit too friendly in that sense, but just stop the ice cream for a couple weeks. Let's get these guys, really focused, and maybe we can make it. Someone else said in the comments that if we make the playoffs and we're healthy, our offense can be very scary, which is, I think that is very true. Because honestly, if he's running out of plays, or if Wentz doesn't know the playbook yet, and he does get it by the playoffs, I don't think that we can literally go into a game and not run any of the plays that we've run in the first 8 weeks, because we've run the same exact plays for the first 8 or 9 weeks. So I don't even know what this team can be. I don't think they even know what they can be yet. So I'm not saying that we have a chance at a Super Bowl, but I'm just saying you never know. You know,
It's
so
never.
I
Hey, and listen, my father used to tell me when I was younger, ice cream's for winners. Okay,
exactly.
you don't go out for ice cream
Exactly.
after losing the game. That's all I have to
Right.
say.
Sprinkles are for winners. What was the
Yeah.
what was the commercial? Was that, yeah, like
Uh,
yeah, but no, yeah, it's the truth, man. We can't be, so friendly right now. We have to get that mean streak back,
Right.
like that underdog mentality. I feel like this is exactly when they should be throwing on the underdog mask, getting that mentality back. But it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Brandon, that we don't have a Chris Long anymore. We don't have a Malcolm Jenkins anymore. We don't have, other than Jason Kelsey. Jason Kelsey's literally the only person that will get loud and boast and tell people that. And even he looks like he's giving up.
BG, I think, is one of those guys as
BG,
well.
yeah.
Definitely. And even maybe Fletcher. I mean, Fletcher gets paid so much money. At some point, he's got to, you a big dude, bro. Stop sleeping with people in Philly's wife and just worry about the
No, that was like in North Carolina. That girl, he's all right.
Oh,
he
so
kept,
even
he
better,
kept
yeah.
it out of the city.
Yeah, you can keep doing that, Fletch.
Yeah. Hey, if they win, he can have anybody's wife for all I care. You can have my wife. Just win.
Yeah, for real. Just win, man. That's all
Yeah.
I want to see. So usually I do like a bunch of cards and I ask questions, but this just became like a good football conversation. But I do have one card I want to bring up, and that's going to be, I want to know, who are your guys' players to watch? Who are the team? And it could be from either team. Are there certain players that you're nervous about with the Browns, or certain players on the Eagles you think can help us win?
You can go first on this one.
All right. Well, I mean, if you're going to look at both sides of the field, I'll look at Cleveland first. Nick Chubb and Hunt are going to be the two guys you're going to keep your eye on. I don't think I've never been a huge fan of Baker Mayfield. I don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to beat you. So those are the two guys. With Garrett out, that gives the Eagles a little upper hand. But on the Eagles side, it has to be the guy to watch is Carson Wentz. Is he going to be consistent and have better footwork, not falling behind the line? Him and Jason Kelsey hopefully had a nice little powwow. Maybe took him out for a steak dinner or something,
Right.
And they sat down and they figured it out. That's going to be my guy to watch because if he isn't there, nobody else makes a difference to me.
Facts.
Right. Carson, he's been hunting a lot. He needs to get these guys some fresh venison and get the whole O-line happy. But I think the players to watch, at least on the Eagles side, I'm gonna have to go with, instead of just one, I want to watch the whole offensive line. I want to see another game where Jason Peters stays in the whole time, where Lane Johnson's a bully and he played very well last week. I think he was rated one of the top 5 linemen last week, so he needs to play well. And then I saw that Herbig is out; he's inactive.
Mm-hmm.
So our guards. So with Sayamalu back, is he gonna be able to be decent enough? I don't need him to be an all-star. I don't need him to be Brandon Brooks, but I can't see him on his ass like Opeta. That was embarrassing. He got bulldozed last week. Can't see that. So hopefully there, and then I'm assuming Matt Pryor will be the other starter. That's an assumption.
Which has been a letdown, by the way.
Very much so. Nate Herbig's out again, so that's fun.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think
is Sam Alou starting? Is he definite?
I didn't see that he's a definite starter. I assume though. I heard last week it was.
We'll find out at 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah, no, that's how they
we'll
do
see
it.
with the offensive line. Be like, oh boy, if I see Opeta, I know it's a game over. But offensive line, I want to see the consistency. I want to see them hopefully give Carson time. And I kept hearing yesterday that the weather today in Cleveland's not the best. So if we're gonna be running the rock, then let them go after it. I think the offensive linemen, from what I've always been told, they love run blocking because that means just going face first into these guys. So go do it. Let your anger out. Let the frustration out. Create a lane and let Miles Sanders take off for 50 yards or Boston Scott or whatnot.
And by the way, in Cleveland, being a weatherman, you could pretty much say that 75% of the time anyway. I got cousins out there, and they love when I just rip on Cleveland the whole time. So they're watching right now, and I'm getting roasted. So there you go, guys.
Shout out to them. I went out to Canton before to go to the Hall of Fame, and I went to Cleveland. Cleveland's pretty nice. I mean, it's got some nice little bars and stuff like that. Their teams are terrible, but it is what it is. But no, I agree. I think Carson Wentz is going to be a big focal point of this game. Same thing with the offensive line. I'm going to be that guy that says and Isaac Sayamalu, shout out to I swear he is starting. So that's big. That's big. My thing is, what was I gonna say? I need to see Evander. I want to see Elijah Holyfield so bad. I really do believe.
I want to see Evander too, but yeah.
I would love to
you
see
would.
Evander out there. Yeah, knock somebody out.
Maybe he's knocking people out as he runs by,
Exactly. His stiff arm would be crazy, but
Yeah.
I want to see Elijah go out there, and I definitely want to see him get a chance. I've said this to you before, Brandon. It might not work the first 3rd and 1. It might not work the second 3rd and 1, but give him a chance. The kid was very good in Georgia. He doesn't have much tread on his tires, if you want to say. Use the kid. Try see what you have. I know Doug was excited about him in the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
Let's see what he has. We really have nothing to lose right now.
Right.
Like we have everything in front of us. You say, y'all know Carson wears one sleeve because of AI. Yeah. He had, and I don't want to see him with that weird camo sleeve. That guy be worried about his outfit more than he's worried about, throwing the ball on time. Like, I need Carson, but yeah. Anyways, my bad. I want to see that got me mad, but I want to see Elijah definitely step it up and get a chance to be somebody big for us. Because I think if we have that 3 running backs core, unfortunately Corey Clement is not panning out. Nothing but love for the guy, but
Yeah.
it's just not looking like he's going to be the same guy after his injury. So hopefully Elijah Holyfield can step up and be that. So last question before we get off of here. Shout out to everybody that's in here still. Make sure y'all hitting the like button, sharing it with a friend, all that good stuff. You could do it if you want. We usually do score predictions, but I feel like we're just like, we're jinxing these people at the
I'll give you one I did on Wednesday. I have 19-16 Cleveland. It's going to be or 19-13, something like that. It's not going to be a pretty game with the weather conditions. If this team is playing like they were the last few weeks, it's not going to be a pretty game.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope I'm wrong.
I would love to. Yeah, hopefully.
The reverse psychology. I respect it. So with that being said, because if Myles Garrett was playing and like maybe even Odell, I probably would be picking the Browns right now, especially because all my picks have been wrong. I pick the Eagles every single time. But today, because they're out, I'm going to say Eagles win 21-10.
That's actually like kind of I would love that. I would be so happy.
I will be clicking my heels at 4:00 this afternoon if that stuff happens.
Seriously,
I'll be bringing all the good liquor, because right now I have all the bad liquor out because I don't think they deserve that. But I'll break that out,
And everybody keeps asking us to do a post game live or whatever, and I usually just do a video crying. But if we win, we win. I'm down to.
You never know. You never know.
I was on a live with somebody last week, and we both agreed it's very hard to. I don't even want to say have faith, but it's hard to bet on this team right now. So,
I actually, with my bets, I have like a rule. I don't usually bet on my Philly teams, but definitely now,
right?
Yeah, it's definitely hard to bet on this team. I don't even know what it is. I don't know. I'm sure we're the underdog. I don't know what the spread is or anything like that. I'm gonna go. And this is going to hurt to say. I'm not going to lie. But I think that we might get blown out. I think it's probably going to be I might be 27-28 to 13, to be honest.
Wow.
I think that running game is going to kill us.
I like Brandon's score prediction better, but
I hate
to go with that.
I know I'm going to probably get roasted. People go, oh, you giving up on that running game our run defense is probably our worst part of our defense now.
That's true.
And I still haven't figured out why. If somebody could explain that to me, I would be more than happy to listen to.
That's what my excuse is right now.
It's a wide 9. With the wide 9, you need linebackers that can fill their gap and actually be there. And when you pay attention to the linebackers, especially like earlier in the season with Nate Gary, he would once he got blocked, he wasn't shedding a block. Some of them don't. TJ Edwards has been killing it. He's been having multi-digit tackles and everything like that. But with that wide 9, if you don't have linebackers that can fill the gap, I mean, Nigel Bradham wasn't good covering the pass, but he could fill the gap. When Jordan Hicks was here and healthy, he could fill the gap. And so those were players that we were able to do it with. But with these smaller stature linebackers that just can't get off a block, it's easy money for them.
Yeah, and it's frustrating. We'll answer this question before we get off. Shout out to Infamous 2K. He's always killing it in the stream, so I like to answer his questions. Will Ertz be elite when he comes back? I think he will. I personally think he will be elite, but I don't think he'll be elite for the Eagles next year, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
I think he's definitely on the trade block. I mean, after you could see that there was issues coming into it. I mean, him and Howie were having a verbal argument on the field during the Eagles game. He just seems like he's out of it. Even when he was playing, I don't know if he was kind of trying to hide an injury or not. When he was playing, he didn't have any. He had no like that second effort thing. I'm gonna reach and get that ball. It's just like that's how he was playing. Kind of like a lot of the team is now, but he was doing that a lot earlier than everybody else, and I think he's just fizzled out on the Eagles, and I think they're going to just try to keep him healthy and try to package him up and see if they can get something for him.
yeah, what you think, Brandon?
Yeah, you got to hope that maybe they can figure something out, but I think you guys are right. I don't see Ertz really being an Eagle after, if not this. He has 2 years left on his contract, so if they can find a trade partner for next year, cool. But if not, I mean, he's still here for another year contractually, unless he holds out. But I just feel like maybe he feels slighted by Wentz. I don't see them doing high fives as much, and like I don't see Ertz really commenting things on Facebook or Twitter, like saying that's my boy Wentz. I think maybe Ertz feels that Wentz isn't sticking up for him. Obviously, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but it just doesn't feel the same. And there's drama there, and it's unfortunate.
There's drama all over the place. But in my eyes, like to be honest, like kind of play devil's advocate in that situation is he made him like the most all-time pass catcher in Eagles history.
Right.
Words are cheap when it comes to that. Like he
Exactly.
gave him I don't know what else he could do for him as a quarterback, giving you the stats to want the price. It's the ultimate can they afford it? And that's my problem. Like they can't afford. We're going to be way over the cap. You should want this team to get better. You're making a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I know if you can make more, if we had job, go get a job and make more money doing the same thing somewhere else. We do it in a heartbeat. So I don't blame him if he left for more money, and I wouldn't blame us for letting him go to get some capital out of him, because right now we need to unload some money, and he knows that going into it, and yet he wanted to get paid more. So
right.
Hey, and it's not like he's on his rookie contract either.
Right. No. Right now it kind of works out because you see, obviously, earlier in the season before Goddard got hurt, he could run after the catch. He really puts his all into this because he's still young. He's still fighting for his first like actual contract after his rookie deal is done. But then when you're able to insert guys like Richard Rodgers that comes in and he's able to make actually big plays for us at times, it makes it hard. It makes it a little bit easier on management to be like, all right, then maybe we can get away with trading or letting go a 30-year-old Zach Ertz when we have some other guys that can step in and plug in and play when it comes.
That's the thing is Goddard. This is going to be his 5th year, right? So he needs to get paid. And I saw the thing that Infamous 2K just put up. I love him too. I'm a big Zach Ertz fan. I only want the best for him, and he's a big reason we got to celebrate in 2017. Mm-hmm. But this is also a business, and if he wants more money, he's already getting paid. He's getting paid well. I mean, the other contracts, we saw some big tight end contracts coming out, but he's still one of the top paid tight ends in the league. So if that's not enough for him, then I get it, but we need to move on, and we need to get something out of the deal, and that would be draft capital or players or both.
Facts. Right. Yeah, I've said it time and time again. I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan. That's an Eagle right there. That's not a Zach Ertz. That's not a Carson Wentz. At the end of the day, I want my team to be the best that they can be. And if that means, moving on from somebody who has been great, then that's what that means, But
except for Brian Dawkins, that hurt.
That was terrible.
That hurt.
That was dumb.
That's why I think they've held on to guys so long. I think the Brian Dawkins thing has scarred them a little bit.
Seriously, that was
as you can see behind me here, big dog.
That's what made me. Yeah, dog. I named my dog Dawkins. Like, I love that dude. And
I got 3 Dawkins signed jerseys. Got to talk with him a few times, interview him.
There's 3 people in this live. I'm just throwing that up.
He's an amazing guy. To be honest with you, he continues to amaze me.
Yeah, I think we can all agree. We love the players that brought us the Super Bowl. We have no ill will or anything like that. We're just talking from a fan perspective, from making our team better. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. This is a business. We've seen some great players come and go, but we just want to be better. So with that said, we are about 10 minutes away from the game. So everybody go get your drinks. Everybody go get your cigar ready, because this is going to be a blowout. Hopefully we're going to win. Forget everything I said.
Not a
Put
I would
question
everything
say
else
for
that for your drink, put one of those covers on it. So when you throw your arm up in the air out of either excitement or anger, you're not spilling the good booze all over the wife's couches. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Get your koozies ready because
Yeah, there you go.
it's about to get down. But hey, man, I appreciate you so much, Big Al, coming on the show, man,
Hey,
chopping it
man,
up.
I enjoyed it. This was awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
like
you.
I said, I usually do like a bunch of cards, and then we just kind of got started talking. I was like, all right, let's just talk, man. Let's just
Let it roll.
Like,
Let it
it was
roll.
fun. It was fun. But definitely let them know where they could find Edge of Philly and everything before we get off here.
Sure. We're on YouTube as well, Facebook, big following there. Best way to get the easiest way to get it, EOP Sports. I think it's behind me up here. I keep it the wrong hand. EOPsports.com. We got articles. It's a whole network with multiple shows. I got 5 shows on the network right now. I got about 20 guys between hosts and articles. I started about a few years back with my boy Joe, but we've been doing the podcasting radio thing for about 7-8 years. My show is live Wednesdays at 9:30. But every day of the week there's something new from EOP. If it's not a show and not an article, subscribe, join, and we have a newsletter we put out every Friday. If you want to sign up for there, we put out this will probably be up on the newsletter. If they missed it today, they could check it out. Yeah, check it out. EOPsports.com.
Yes, sir. And real quick before we do get off, I do have a live call-in show on Tuesday. Is it Tuesday, Brandon?
Tuesday
with Philly Fresh is going to be in. I have too much things going on.
I hear you, man.
Philly Fresh is going to be on the channel. We're going to do another call-in show. We're going to be having Malik Golden on the show next week. Former Penn State Nittany Lion and former Steeler. So that'll be fun. So be sure to subscribe if you are new. And be sure to go check out Edge of Philly Sports because I don't bring on people here that aren't doing anything. Like, I'm a huge fan of Edge of Philly. So this is cool for me too. So, but like I said, thank you so much again. Brandon, is there anything you want to say before we let these beautiful people go?
Nah, bro. Fly, Eagles, fly. Let's get this dub today. Hopefully.
But y'all know what it is. Other than that, man, it's fly, Eagles fly, and we are out here.